Hello trainers and welcome to the making of the thumbnail for Houndoom. This one was a pretty good practice for me for trying out more symmetrical images. As you see, I'm starting with the eyes, as I typically like to do, and I used a quick kind of copy-paste layer flip to try to keep the symmetry. I use a little more freehand. Typically all my thumbnails, you could consider them freehand. I use mouse and keyboard, but I also typically use line tools like you see here. But I was trying my best to keep it as symmetrical as possible. You'll see me do the flip trick, which is a technique I have been, right there, I have been trying to become more accustomed to try to help improve my methods. So going down to the muzzle, I have her kind of softly snarling, because this was a more aggressive episode. I wasn't quite sure if my Ditto Pink would work well. Like halfway through, I was wondering if I should have kept the black and then made the red my Ditto Pink. But honestly, I think it kind of worked out because I feel my Ditto Pink almost gives it kind of like an albino Pokemon feel, but instead of white, it's pink. And especially with the shading I use later, I think it worked out. So yeah, adding the teeth, I'm kind of sad I didn't add the bottom teeth, but again, I think it's okay. I feel like I could have added the bottom teeth a bit better. So doing the horns, I definitely feel like I improved my method for the horn angle, learned from Double, which was a bit more of an awkward angle, but the more head-on symmetry is definitely easier to do than the 3/4 view I had for Double. And just blocking in the colors and going along. And once again, I'm trying to add some more accent shadows than I was typically willing to do. I feel like almost every digital artist at some phase, like, tries to resist doing certain things like, oh, I'm not going to use certain outlines or certain shadows, but they really do help more than hinder. And I gave it the free-handed skinny scratches, because it doesn't seem like Houndoom's horns are properly grooved like a goat's. It's more like free scratches. And then doing the collar piece, which I think looks really nice, especially in anthro form, to look kind of like just a really big necklace. This overall took me about an hour, even with the copy-paste flippy-dippies. About each of my thumbnails seems to be averaging between 45 minutes to an hour, which I think is pretty good time. And blocking in all the colors. Yeah, I kind of like doing aggressive pieces sometimes, because I found it with a lot of the thumbnails, much like my episodes themselves, I can play with a lot of different personalities and try to emphasize different emotions and sets of tones of mindsets, that's the word. And using the original colors to do the background, and this definitely, I feel, helped pull it together. And cleaning up the edges a bit. And you'll see here in a moment, I do go back and try to fix the muzzle a bit, because I noticed with the flippy, I keep calling it flippy dippy, that's just what I'm going to keep calling it. It was a bit off, so I don't quite know what was happening with my copy paste there, and for some reason it just kept having a dark shadow over it. So eventually I find the right layer that helps me do that, and then that helps. Yeah, the point of the muzzle looks a little off, so I do my best to adjust it where I can so it doesn't look too strange. I feel like I can get away with it for a bit with the snarling that's happening, because when a canine snarls, it can go off to one side or the other as I snarl at my microphone to emphasize a point you can't see. And then adding the ditto shine to everything, with the most shine being on that, what I imagine to be a wet snoot. And mostly keeping the shine to where the gradient is the lightest, and then keeping it dark around the horns, because the idea for my episode was it's coming off the heels of the Ninetales date night, so it's like you were in the forest a bit too late in the night, and then a Houndoom comes and finds you. And using one of my favorite texts, I think it's either, I can't remember if this was Treacherous Curves or Treacherous Angles. And then I also went back and changed the number because I accidentally used the wrong number. But yeah, so that is Houndoom, and the next one is going to be Wimpod, which is the complete opposite type of mood from this thumbnail, but I think it turned out pretty nifty. So if you like this and you would like to have early access to these, please consider going to my Subscribestar or Patreon, where you can also find the full episodes that these were made for. And I'll see you for the next catch. Bye-bye.